Commissioner Fried, talk to Floridians who ask, who is Nikki Fried and what's she done for me?
Yep. I am somebody who grew up in Miami. I was born into a family that my dad is a diehard Republican, my mom is a diehard Democrat. So I learned very early on in life how to listen to all sides of a conversation and an argument and bring people together. All the time when I was in Miami, I was doing things like soup kitchens and Habitat for Humanity. And that's who I am still today, somebody who gets up every single day trying to fight for Floridians. I spent 3.5 years at the Public Defender's Office in Alachua County, seeing the inequities of our criminal justice system, knowing full well that that was going to have to be part of my path to fix the criminal justice system. And then I came back down to South Florida and I spent time in every single courthouse across our state fighting for homeowners during the foreclosure crisis, sticking up for the American people and sticking up for our Floridians. And then I have been spending 8 years in Tallahassee working for at-risk children in the foster care system, to expansion of medical marijuana in our state, and for public education. And for the last 3.5 years as commissioner, we have done some incredible things, including kicking the NRA out of my gun licensing program, making it safer for people in our state, expanding access for the hemp industry and legalizing that in my first legislative session, creating already 12,000 jobs in our state, $380 million of economic impact, giving our farmers an alternative crop. And of course, when it comes to our water supply, making sure that we are doing everything we can as commissioner and in our office to have a sustainable water supply for future generations. So we've done a lot.
We'll unpack some of that in a moment with some specific questions. Polling shows you right now trailing fairly significantly your chief Democratic challenger, Congressman and former Governor Charlie Crist, endorsements and in terms of campaign contributions. How do you get traction? Why are you the better candidate than Charlie Crist?
My life story. And first of all, we feel very confident that we are going to win this primary because the Democrats want a fighter, want somebody who's going to get up every single day and put their needs first. As we're crisscrossing our state, we're seeing the momentum on our side. We're seeing the fact that last month we had more individual donations than any other candidate in our state. So we're seeing this grassroots campaign coming to fruition. And the people of our state want a true Democrat, somebody who's been fighting for them.
You say true Democrat. Why, in your estimation, is Charlie Crist? I presume from that statement you do not think he's a true Democrat, the Republican independent turned Democrat. Why isn't he a true Democrat now?
Look, every single issue that we as Floridians are fighting for today, whether that is access to affordable health care, whether that's affordable housing, our environment, to criminal justice reform, to medical marijuana and legalization, to civil rights, to criminal justice reform, you name the issue. Unfortunately, Charlie was on the other side of it when he was a Republican for most of his career, including anti-gay marriage, anti-gay adoption, including pro-life his whole life. So the issues that Floridians are facing here today are not the issues Charlie was fighting for his entire career. So we need somebody who is going to get up and every day be focusing on the issues that are impacting our state today. And that's me. That is somebody of my entire life. That's what I've been doing, is standing up for the people to make sure that everybody has a voice and a seat at the table. So we are very confident that the Democratic Party is going to choose me as their nominee, as the only one in this race who's won statewide as a Democrat. I'm not a career politician. I'm here to make sure that the people have a voice in Tallahassee.
Let's talk about some of your record. As Agriculture Commissioner, you have faced criticism. Last year, the Orlando Sentinel talked about what they saw as a conflict, your support as a former lobbyist and your continued support for the cannabis industry. This was from the Orlando Sentinel, saying she personally invested in one of the state's few licensed marijuana providers. Her fiance, an investor of one of only 17 hemp extractors in Florida, permitted by her department, and she made money lobbying for the industry before she took office, money she didn't fully disclose until the Orlando Sentinel started asking questions. They say it stinks, and they say either make money off cannabis or regulate cannabis. Don't do both. How do you respond to that critique, that criticism?
Yeah, I think that obviously it's misinformation all across the board. I have been very upfront and very honest. Why I got into wanting to run for Commissioner of Agriculture is I saw patients all across our state who voted for having access to medicinal cannabis and saw the regulations in our state holding back the program. I was involved with the program back when I was a lobbyist when I was doing this, but I have shown time and time again that I stand up for the people. We do not regulate cannabis inside the Department of Agriculture. We legalized hemp, which is an open marketplace. Anybody has an opportunity to succeed in there. We don't have any conflicts of interest whatsoever. That is complete misinformation, and my record on making sure we have an open, expanded program in place was my #1 priority. When lobbyists came to me and tried to make sure that the program was only going to have a limited amount of licenses, we made sure that that was not going to be the case.
But you have made money from that industry. You've acknowledged that. At minimum, are the optics bad?
No, I had a client in the industry that paid me my legal fees. That is what's called capitalism, and I am very proud of my record protecting our patients, making sure that doctors had every access and opportunity to recommend cannabis to their patients.
What about their argument, her fiance, an investor of one of only 17 hemp extractors in Florida permitted by her department?
I'm unaware of any of his doings, and for those who may also know too that we are no longer together, but that's besides the point.
Right. This was an article that they put out last year, a critique that I wanted you to have a chance to answer. Also, in your role as Agriculture Commissioner, local issue, the post-ProPublica investigation in the Glades, determining that sugarcane burning is harmful to the health of residents there. Your take on that, what your department, what you personally have done or would like to see done following that investigation?
Yeah, absolutely. We came into the department, and the burn program across the entire state had not been updated in almost 25 years. And so the Florida's burn program, which is not just here in South Florida, but across the entire state, is one of the best tools for land management. And the Florida Department of Agriculture's burn program is by far the best burn program in the entire country. But we knew that we had to do better. And so we spent a significant amount of time looking at new rules, looking at different types of technology that was available, making sure that we created new standards for air quality, making sure that we created new zoning so that when the wind was blowing, we knew that back then there was no residents in certain parts of the state. And so we came through, redid the program, the most advanced changes to the burn program in 25 years. We are very proud of our record. Is it perfect yet? Of course not. But we have made instrumental strides for the community.
Following their report, how concerned are you, despite those changes, that the health is still being impacted, and what more needs to be done? And what is your ongoing commitment to our viewers, your constituents in the western part of our area?
We have looked at all the science, we've looked at all the data. We are going off of EPA standards as well. So we work a lot with our federal government colleagues in regards to the burn programs, making sure that we are listening to the EPA, that we're looking at the air quality standards. And so we are basing all of this on science and on data. You
talked about your environmental record, and as we unpack that a little bit more, again, last year, Susan Glickman, the Florida director of the nonprofit Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, appeared in a campaign video for Congressman Chris. She said that, quote, "While Commissioner Nikki Fried talks a good game about climate change, our review of actual accomplishments do not add up to the rhetoric."
I think that goes without saying, the fact that she was in my opponent's TV commercials. But my environmental record is by far the best in the entire state. Things that we've been able to do for the environment, for climate change. First thing we did was we put out a 72-page plan on energy and in the environment. We hosted the first energy and environment summit in the entire state over 20 years, had no changes have been done, put forth some of the most bold, aggressive climate change legislation in the last few years. Unfortunately, it didn't move because the Republican legislature. We voted no on TECO's new coal plant that they wanted, and been a very staunch opponent to any of the chip stacks that are going up in Piney Point, and called for a state of emergency, voting no on any type of road extensions that are going to go into the Everglades. Every single day, we are the champions.